We're live. LA Natives podcast. Las Aslan
Las
Natives
Aslan.
podcast.
LA natives, what is going on?
My Turtle Island Warriors, how you guys doing? How's everybody out there? You know, it was we took a week break.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had to go to Palm Springs for some like little party get together that my wife did for one of her friends, and I was like, I had to go apparently.
no, it's cool. But I was gonna just say this. Like, seems like an eternity when you get used to doing something almost every week, and you're almost excited to look forward to it. But I'm glad you're able to go and enjoy yourself with your family. And
So I woke up this morning and I noticed on LA Times, I don't know why I'm subscribed to them, but it says Indigenous tribe sues LA County over the desecration of more than 100 graves.
wow,
That's native news right there.
right. Well, that just goes to tell you how much.
Did you hear about this?
No,
I didn't hear about that.
I didn't. And where was this at? And where is this at?
The Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians, also known as the Quiche Nation, is suing Los Angeles County. And the nonprofit La Plaza de Cultura and Arts, saying that their ancestors' remains were mishandled when they built the Mexican American Museum on DTLA.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's a very dense neighborhood, right there.
Very,
but-
very dense neighborhood, right?
Yeah, but I mean, still, they have to take the precautions and do the excavations. But I mean, especially coming from the Gabrielino tribe, they're always going to get into the politics side of things, and
One article is Quiche, and then the other article is Tungva, and then just like
right. So
shout out to both of them.
yes, absolutely. I mean, they have every right to protect their sacred sites, but
Are they really going to win? Like suing the city of Los Angeles?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Shout out to LA Times for publishing that, though.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that what I'm trying to say to natives out there is that don't expect colonials. They never, ever, ever cared about your gravesite. They've never cared about your sacred site. They never cared about your women. I mean, come on, man. Like, these people don't care. And they'll find a way around it. They have more money than you. They have more lawyers than you. And so it's always, you always have to stand up for your rights. And I'm not discouraging anybody, nor am I disrespecting anybody's attempt to protect their sacred sites. Not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that energy is important. And we're going to talk about that today. Energy. I want everybody to put in their mind the word energy, right? And now what? Tonal, right? That energy from the sun. That's what we're going to focus on today, because that energy manifests itself in, I'm going to sue this person, right? Because it gathers people, it gathers resources, it makes a movement. That's all energy.
I'm going to go ahead and sue the most corrupt city in the world, Los Angeles.
I mean, they have a lot. Los Angeles has a lot of money, and they really. I mean, we're expecting people who we have this illusion that there's a fairness that lives in people who don't care, right? These people think you're bugs. You're like, who cares, right? And if no one really reacts to the article, then that's all it was an article, right, of a filing of a lawsuit. And I'm not saying we need to do it. But we need to focus our energy very precise, because if we follow the same road of filing lawsuits, you know what I mean? There's other means, is what I'm trying to say. Creativity is endless, but if we go, well, let's screw our creativity and file this lawsuit, you're not going to win against colonials, bro. They own the court. So yeah, fuck you, the city of Los Angeles, for fucking desecrating and not paying attention to our indigenous peoples. But I really didn't expect you to. You've never shown respect to any indigenous people across Turtle Island. Never, not once. The only time you did it was to get us to fucking put our hand on the paper of a different language that we didn't know, called the treaty, and we get screwed at the end. That's the only time you were nice, when you were lying to us. So they're never going to acknowledge You know, did you hear what Mondo said? You know, he brought up the article for LA Times about the Tongva gravesite, and they're suing them.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it seems like times are changing. Those bodies have been there a long time. And it's interesting. I think the narrative.
But what's the outcome of a lawsuit? Like, what would you, even if you did win, what would you win? Money? Like money?
Well,
Like,
I imagine what you're trying to hurt the other side.
But like, this is the city of Los Angeles. They have like how much is their LAPD budget? It's like $4 billion.
Right.
So I think it's in the billions.
Yeah. It is
Right?
in the billion
It's in the
range.
billions for a police department. What do you think they have to protect the city and the owner and the land and all that stuff? What do you think they have? Just they don't have the best lawyers? I'm just saying, let's be creative. How can we be creative that really puts a halt on things? And I'm not talking about blocking streets or breaking windows or I'm talking about doing investigative campaigns, like real serious journalism, right? Putting a story that makes sense for a person that lives in the ghetto, and like not this sophisticated documentary that kind of you got to have intellectual, you know, an intellect to understand it. We're letting go of creativity for I want to file the lawsuit.
Well,
Be creative is what I'm saying. Be creative and file the lawsuit.
Right.
I'm saying do both. Do whatever, but don't just file the lawsuit and expect change.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
If the resources, they can get resources from the city, from any funding, and you do something with resources, maybe straight daycare. Daycare for these young families struggling to work. You use those resources the way they should be used for maybe descendants of people, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like you know those people originally speak our language. By now, you've taught the different tribes. You know which were you by. And so, you know, there's a lot of ways you contribute those resources.
I agree.
They need to get distributed first, you know, and maybe that's where they're going with it. But again, I'm just pro-native, you know what I mean? And so I think the
I'm
desecration.
pro-native too. I'm not saying that I'm not pro-native. I'm saying
No, but I'm saying, Rubio,
I'm saying that I'm tired of the same tactics. You're like,
well, again, too, I think when we, you know, as native people take, you know, I guess the initiative too, you know, because I think if you think about it, like, it's like we were talking earlier, we gotta take control of ourselves, and once we do that, man, we can really affect change, you know. And so, because I think I'm new to hearing this, but I think that it's about time that the occupying government or people, officials, acknowledge that you're on land that people have been buried there before, you know, because, you know, it's just different. You know, we're like the only people. They just desecrate our shit all the time, man. Like,
that's what I'm talking about, though. But when have they? It'd be one thing if they're like, oh wow, for 100 years, white people got along really well, and when I haven't.
But you know, I think Ruben, I think part of it is just that.
You
like,
know what I'm saying, though, Daniel? I'm like,
no, I do. I hear what you're saying.
was-
It's the same shit. It's like, you know what? Same shit, different day. Same shit, different century. Same shit, different millennium. Like, it's just the same shit. But here's the thing, Ruben. And
it's our fault because we're the ones thinking, wow, one day they're gonna be like, you know.
No, well, hold on a second. I'm new to
fuck
this
up,
story.
you know?
I'm new to this story. I didn't know this was going on, but I support it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm definitely supporting. You know,
I'm not saying that.
you know.
And LA natives, Las Taslan community, Native community, Tongva community, Quiche community. I'm not saying that I'm not supporting that. I'm saying that it doesn't stop there. It doesn't go, okay, cool, we got our filing. The LA Times wrote the article. Great, let's see what happens. No.
Well, I think you're right, Ruben. It's an ongoing struggle, but I think what it is too is just, I don't know. It seems like, at least to me, maybe it's like it's like Vietnam. Okay, and I don't know if you're up on Vietnam, but the Vietnamese were able to defy the invader by working as a group and doing guerrilla warfare, being creative. You know, and the thing is
creative.
Well, this is what I want to highlight, though. It says the Gabrielino Band Mission Indians are suing LA County and others, saying ancestral remains were mishandled.
Oh.
When La Plaza and Cultura de y Artes were built in downtown LA. Like, mishandled, what the
I
fuck
think
do you
you're saying.
expect them to do?
Well,
Right.
that's because it once
It was probably worse than
I could-
mishandled,
I
bro.
can only
I hear what you're saying, though, Mondo. It's true because that's public. They're
I can
publicly
only
saying that, and they always kind of like they don't tell you how it's serious as it is.
for us it's serious because it's our relatives, it's or our
Yes,
our,
Ruben.
our
Well said.
cousins.
Well
but
said.
but to a contractor, he's like, who the fuck are these guys? Get these fucking bones out of here. I'm not gonna fucking hold to cultivate. What would happen? Okay, hey, we found these bones there. They're like 100 years old. Okay, stop construction. Bring out the fucking guys from the schools. Let's excavate this with fucking paintbrushes. You know what I mean? That's gonna take up time.
What's interesting?
We gotta
Ruben?
stop. We gotta stop believing that people give a shit about our people. They didn't give a shit about our people in that way.
Right, but you know what, Ruben? I'm going to add a little, let's say, an anecdote, okay? And an anecdote is like my own personal story of my experience with this. But this is with my cousin. I have a cousin he's an architect, so he builds, plans and builds houses, and so there's a wealthy relative that they were building a house in Tepoztlan. Okay, you know where that is, Tepoztlan?
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay, so he's there building, and he gets all pissed off one day. I think, hey, Peter, what's up? He goes, oh, man, they found shit at my thing. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, because every time they find bones somewhere, then all our work stops, man. We ain't got shit. We don't got work for weeks. And I was like, oh, fuck. Well, I said, but hey, man, it's your culture. He says, yeah, my culture ain't going to pay ain't going to buy me beer. And I was like, fuck, guy. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? I understand what he's saying, but then it's like, dude, but everywhere where they are is sacred. Man, they were there so long that everywhere you go, people are buried. And I mean, I was told that once that everywhere the hills rise, our people are buried. And you think about it, everywhere in the state of California, everywhere you look, you see the hills rising. And I was telling my nephew that you don't realize that we live in a state that's crunched up geographically. Like we got the mountains going through the whole state that go all the way down the Sierra Madres down Mexico, like it's a continental mountain. But the rest of the country, flat as shit, and that's why they're going through all these tornadoes. They're going through weather right now that fuck, man. We're reading about it, but realistically, dumbass fucking people. The natives didn't live there. They had teepees. When the shit went down, they fucking moved. Like you know what I mean? And it's just we lived in a place where our native people who spoke our language have words, like the windy file and shit. They describe to you by knowing the language where you shouldn't live and where you shouldn't be. And again, dude, these people are building on places, Ruben, that if we buried our people there, you shouldn't build there. Period.
I agree. That's 100% agreed. Do I agree on the lawsuit? Yes, I agree on the lawsuit. But don't expect people to handle your
It's like you're right. Malcolm X,
especially when it comes to business.
right?
Especially when it comes to fucking multi-million-dollar land. It's in the middle of fucking Los Angeles, especially in downtown.
Ruben, one of my all-time.
That's all I'm saying is don't expect a heart from people who don't give a shit.
No, right, Ruben. One of my all-time, idols is Malcolm X. Malcolm X said it clearly. You never let the enemy educate your children, ever. Okay, it's true. Ruben, the thing is that we got to take those resources and do the opposite of what they did to us and start to feed the seeds, take care of all of our kids, man, and start to just create the new generation because, man, this is part of prophecy. This is part of what the Maya and the Mexica had foretold for this time. They'd seen this. They'd seen a time when we have the young people are going to begin to take over, man, because it's their time. And it's just we're in the seventh generation. We're so fortunate to be part of this, and it's like a lot of these young people are just ready to move and ready to do shit. I mean, you think about all the protest movement, not a single gun, not a single weapon did they bring, but fucking who came to clear them out? All the people with guns. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, why didn't they just show up and talk to them? Hey, we got to move. Here's the thing, too, and I don't mean to be on a tirade, but I went to college. You become part of the university there. It's your fucking neighborhood. And for people to come in and do that, I mean, if you weren't part of that experience, that's pretty fucked up for them to do that. You're paying there. You're paying your fucking money to go to that place. Like, you're going to camp out a couple days and they get bent out of shape because you want peace. You don't want people being killed anymore. These are the future of our country, and thank goodness they're about to say, fuck it, stop killing already. And so it goes back to this how do you say that, to have no respect for what what was here before. that's a plague, Ruben. It's a cancer that's already at
That's
its end. You know, it's at its end.
that's been happening since the Holy
Yeah,
Crusades.
for sure, for sure.
Right.
But here's the thing,
The
Ruben.
Holy Crusades, they went from, and they're still devising plans on how to
But Ruben, okay, but back to let's talk about
continue
this.
doing it.
Let's talk about Shikoat. Okay.
Right.
What Shikoat is during all this chaos, we're forming it. We're looking at the spiral because we're moving through the spiral. And the thing is, if we know we're moving through the spiral, then we understand that it's not chaos anymore because I know I'm going through the spiral. Because it's kind of interesting. And I mean, in this time that I've been off, I'd say to me it's been kind of good. In my life, I've been going through a bit of personal, I'm not going to say, well, I'll just say challenges, and sometimes when you have challenges, a lot of times they're out of your control because somebody that you love just sees the world all fucked up, and it's like, man, and it hurts your heart. But that's what the Mashika we're talking about. When you resonate from your heart, that's how you help your people, but that's how you help yourself first. Because if you're good, then you can begin to understand all the chaos, because then it's not chaos anymore. Because even through all this chaos, a pattern forms, and it's like we were talking about electricity today. Electricity is this fluid energy that's all through the galaxy. It's everywhere, Ruben. It's like Teotl. Teotl is everything that's sacred, but you don't see, and so our ancestors put words out there that resonated with meaning, and the sound meant something to them, and so our sounds are very sacred, like we were talking about Shikoat, okay? So it's not Shikoat, it's Shiukoat. So what it's saying is she is the Kishtli, your belly button, because everything begins with your belly button. Even the sun has a belly button, and so from the sun comes the two serpents, and those are the two chaos and pattern, Tonal Nagual. One exists that you see, the other one exists, but you just don't see it. It's like one's love and one's a man and a woman. Man, but I'm going too long here, Ruben. But jump in, man. I'm just saying this.
No,
We're doing that right now. Fighting the patterns in our chaos.
I started, thinking about the subject of a serpent, right, and where it's placed in normal society or in the Christian view of it, and then in our ancestral view of it. And then the last podcast that we did, or a few podcasts ago, you mentioned how the sun, I know that the sun emits electricity, right, that we call fire, right?
Right.
And so, and when you said that it goes like a serpent.
Yeah, it's a serpent. It comes to us at a serpent. That's why it's a rainbow. When you look at the water, because it's spiraling, because the water is coming through the sun, it picks up all the colors and it makes a color spectrum. That's why you see a rainbow appears, because it comes through the spirals of the light, and so,
Light, information, electricity.
Well, that's how the sun speaks to us, Ruben. You look at the center, and the centerpiece, it's got the tongue, right here. There it is. So it's the sun is speaking to us, it's speaking. And if you look at the tongue, the tekpat has a flower in it, and so it's teaching us, but it's sending us light. And so
light.
From the red points, it's sending us energy, and all the white points, it's pulling it back in. So that's the shikoa. That's the one comes out and the one comes back.
Wow.
So, but it's also too, if you look at the two shikoas, the two serpents come around, and if you get this, and it broke off on mine, but if you flip it upside down, the two upside down make a baby, because when two come together, there's a baby that comes out of the uterus. So if you think about it, the South, when you talk about the South, is Huitzilopochtli, life. The life force is the South, so it makes sense. Like everything in their creation story leads us, and there's a science to it too, and so. But
so we think of, so I was thinking that, okay, so the sun's gonna release this energy as a serpent, right? Yet in biblical terms, we look at a serpent as being bad.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's what you said, though, in biblical terms.
Right.
Saying,
that's the norm that has been taught, and this is where I'm addressing just like general public kind of information. I'm not talking in the level of what we understand as it. I'm putting it into the perspective of why we look at the serpent. Because I'm explaining this because I think it was either a TikTok or some sort of a documentary I was looking at, and I saw the serpent and I felt a negative reaction to it. because of a seed that was planted, obviously, by Christianity and their view of that. But a lot of people have this subconscious perspective of this serpent, right? But if the serpent is coming from the sun, and if the serpent is electricity, which translates into light, which light is information, then it's knowledge. The serpent represents knowledge.
Ruben, think about it.
But when we look at the serpent as evil, then we're kind of hating ourselves because we all carry that energy of that serpent inside of us.
And why would we hate ourselves first? And then why would we hate truth? If we embrace truth, then we're going to be empowered every day of our life. Because part of the problem right now, Ruben, is that we're flooded. It's like there's a flood of deception. It's fucking rampant right now because people, are looking at a screen. Because it's funny. I'll go to the Jamba Juice, and everybody's looking at the screen, and just to be a joke, I'll just put my hand in front of it and I'll look at it, and eventually they'll look at me and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to fit in." It's funny, but again, too, it's where we're at, Ruben. And I mean, a quick story today, and I'll tell you, this is where we're at. I come into the Jamba Juice today. I love the Jamba Juice, man, but there's always a warm reception. But I come in and I was talking to a girl, and all of a sudden this girl comes in, young lady, she starts screaming. Ah! And I was like, "Oh God, what's going on?" And then the other man, she starts screaming. They're like, "Oh shit, what's going on? There's a spider!" And I was like, "Oh my God!" They're telling the guy, "Hey, come on in, you got to kill the spider." I'm like, "Whoa, what are you guys doing?" He's like, "There's a spider on the wall." And I was like, "Oh my God!" So I walked over, I put my finger out, I picked up the spider, I walked out of the store, and I blew it out. Okay, and I said, "You guys, come on, man, don't like that's grandmother spider. Like, you can't kill her." She's just there doing her thing. And the worst thing is, I'm going to tell you all, this is the worst thing. Grandmother spider, when you fucking kill her, all the other spiders that are sitting in the room, and there's a shit ton of them that you don't see, they're all looking at you. And they're saying, "All right, that fucker just killed grandmother." And I know, because when I was a kid, I killed grandmother, and that night, those fuckers would get me. And after like a few times, I stopped killing them. And then they stopped biting me. And it was just like, but Ruben, we live in a world where we just like, we're pushed by fear, man. And you know what? The animal, it's like I'm in the garden, I'm in my cannabis garden, I see a spider web, and I'm happy because they're going to eat all the bugs that are fucking me up. And it's like, if we begin to flow with nature, and I try to tell them, look how big you are. Like, that spider doesn't, it's not, but it's just the world that we're in, Ruben. And I mean, think about it. I mean, it's just crazy to me, and it's just, we were raised in a world, Ruben, that fear is their fucking weapon, man. And
imagine having a fear of yourself.
Well,
because
Ruben,
when we have that perspective, we have, like we were talking, I don't know if we mentioned it on the podcast, but there's two perspectives. There's a colonial Christian perspective, and then there's an observation perspective. In the colonial church or whatever, European perspective it is, there's good and bad, right? But in an observational system, there just is. And there's a pattern to it. And if you're not aware of that pattern, it will bite you.
Right.
That's very different from good and bad. You have to observe, and be aware.
Right.
An infinite awareness, just like the way you were describing the calendario and how you put it upside down and it's showing the baby come out of the womb. That is awareness of celestial movements. And then they conceptualize that into putting an art form of a baby coming out.
Right. Ruben,
through observation.
Ruben, think about it. If making information beautiful was like an MC rapping, the calendar is like fucking Wu-Tang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just fucking most deep,
Yeah.
things. But what happens is that they take something and they make something that's probably boring or irrational, and they make it beautiful. And it reminds me actually of my mother. My mother used to make, if she wanted you to believe in something or do something, she made it easy, taste good, look good, it felt good. And it was like, man, that was a good way, Ruben. Like, so the Mexicano, because that's what I see too. This is the Mexica. The Mexica, what they did, they've been here so long they became good at all the shit they were doing, you know, and things we live like the Bible and all that shit. They're not advanced. Okay, that's a patriarchal system. Okay, the woman doesn't do anything in that system, and where in nature does a woman not do anything? Get the fuck out of here, man! Like, because it really gets down to like when man becomes the creator, that's when you're all fucked up. No, that's not. Man's not the creator. You can, shit comes out of your ass, sir. That's it. You know what I mean? It's like it's funny. You're saying be water. I'm water when I'm in the bathroom pissing. I'm water. You know, but, hey, but that's no. It's a different. We're men and we're just brutes. Whereas women is about creation. Nature said it perfect, man. They're set with the moon, you know, and that's a cycle that we understand. And if you look at the galaxy, the moon landing in our orbit was what made life here. But you talk about, oh, it was the first man. Fuck, that's when the woman gets here. And you think of everything we talk about, man, come on. You go out and look at nature, like you're saying, observing nature. Where is a man, bear, a man do anything? No, the men are always solitude. They come and fuck the women and they leave. You know, and it's like women take care of all the bear. You know what I mean? It's just the nature sets it up that way.
Well, in a distorted reality or distorted perspective, yes. But if we look at the art that our ancestors created, you said it yourself. The Shukwat is a man and a woman.
For sure, Ruben, for sure. But they're equal. You know, it's not one over the other.
Exacto.
You know, and so that's the thing. But Ruben, the man's never equal. The man's always fucking in control or choosing to imagine he's in control.
That's in the patriarchal.
Right, but Ruben, what other
European
examples? What other?
And these are the things that we're challenging, though, Daniel.
But here's the thing. But what other example do you see that? Like they're the only ones. It's like they're making a Hollywood movie, Ruben, and it's called patriarchy.
Yeah,
and that's the
but it's ending because, you know, I think people are recognizing that women are intelligent, that women do have a role, that women are very different from men, and that men don't have all the answers.
Well, I think not. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to do the work.
Yeah, no. Well, we're supposed to do our part.
Right,
Ruben, our part.
And but right now, Ruben, come on, man.
And we bring it back, and we'll bring it back to Shukwat, right? Because we're saying that it's this serpent that comes from the sun, emitting electricity, heat, and light, which is information.
Yeah, but you too,
which I'll put a final point on energy. Right. So how are you going to disperse your energy? Are you going to disperse it through the perspective of good and bad, which is a Christian, European perspective? Or are you going to do it? Are you going to use your tonal, your energy, to be observant, right, of patterns?
Right. Well, you, Ruben,
see, like the students. I love their energy, but if they were to hold think tanks and really affect people in a way that's like I said, creative and journalism, right? Instead of just going, I'm gonna just sit here until you punch me in the face, and then I'm gonna punch you back, or I'm gonna write this sign that really offends you, and then the guys come in, they go, yeah, right, you're gonna offend me, fuck you, boom, there they come. And then ultimately, look, I wrote it like this. I wrote it like this in a poem, in a song that I'll release soon. I go, lower class fighting lower class, while the rich sit and laugh, mesmerized by the wizard's craft. See, the wizard's making everybody do this. He's making them protest so that the evil guys could come in and destroy, while he laughs at the top at us. We need to be creative observance. Once we bring back that energy, that spiral, that light, that information into our being, then the creativity comes out. The intention is set. That's what I feel we need to kind of break the perspective of good and bad, because then it leads you to a serpent that you're afraid of, because the serpent is the evil person, which is yourself.
But that's so okay, here's the thing. The truth about the serpent, okay? Because the thing is, come on, the serpent's not evil. What the serpent gives you life. The serpent is the first serpent that gives you your umbilical cord.
Yeah.
The cord comes in and becomes your mother, connects you to the earth through your umbilical cord, and that's a serpent. And it spirals just like the rays of the sun, because the spiral is actually how do you say it? It's a function of the galaxy. The galaxy sends you numbers and data, but it's the spiral that everything spirals and comes out. That's how you know how old a tree is. How you know how old I am. You look at my thumb and there's the spiral, because everything is organic spiral. Because you were saying, okay, it's not that we need to get back to the spiral. The spiral's here and it's spiraling, but what's happening is that people are getting tossed in the spiral. But if you understand the spiral's coming, it's kind of like surfing. You're surfing, you see the spiral come, so you move with it. It's kind of like in the midst of chaos, if you choose to like think before you speak, man, it really reclaims your power. Because when we're just acting and not, just reacting, we're not actually thinking.
Mm.
And so when we get that frequency, because man, the frequency is good. And I realize that, when I begin to, and a lot of times I'm fortunate because I have people around me that are open to truth and open to make mistakes and to advance. And so there's no fear around me, because if you fall, I'll pick you up, and I fall, you pick me up. And so, and like we were talking today, we hadn't talked for a while, but like we're in the same team. You know what I mean? There's nothing that you have that I want. There's nothing I have, but we're on the same road. And so it's that's the native world, because in the native world, if you win, I win. But in the colonial world, it's a competition for just a resource, and there's only one, and you're holding on to it. I got to get, you know what I mean? That's not, that frame of reality is their reality. That's the reality where man comes out of an anus, and I didn't come out of an anus. So you can ride that out as much as you want. No, they live in a world that's bent or skewed, and it's like you're out in the sun and they're like wearing a sweatshirt. Oh, it's cold. Like, all right, dude, you roll with that. We live in a country where you could allow people to their freedom. I can't tell that guy, just, you got to let them do the thing. It's just when that affects me, it starts to be bad. And so a lot of it too, Ruben, and we just have to kind of, I don't know, how would you say, kind of step back from the chaos, and just, sometimes you just don't feed into it. You know what I mean? Because we surround ourselves with people that are following the same. Because I just think those of us that
The way I feel like leaders, and in a general sense, right? Leaders, right? Like I'm kind of attributing to like energy. It's
for sure,
energy, right? It's the
for sure, Ruben.
it's the serpent that's coming from the sky in a serpent pattern that has fire, which is our energy. That's what we pull from the sun, right?
Right,
But
right.
how are we directing that? Right? If we're believing in a religion or in a system that tells you that it's good and bad, then you're following a leadership that is manipulating you to believe that there is a good and bad.
Well,
When it's
Ruben,
just patterns,
right, but here's the thing, Ruben.
just patterns and observations. And if you're not aware of those patterns and observations, this is why you struggle.
Yeah, but Ruben, let me ask you this: where are you affected by these people, religious people? Like, how do you interact with them? Where have you interacted with them in the last
Every
couple weeks?
day, every day, I
Okay,
deal with people's.
okay,
This is how I deal with. It's not me that deals
right?
with
No,
it.
no, right,
It's people's fear. I
right,
see it all the time when they come to the store.
right. Okay, yeah, yeah, no,
I'm afraid. Oh, my kidney. Oh, I'm obese.
yeah,
Oh, I don't want to. They don't even have. Oh, so what I'm trying to kind of guide in this podcast to our Las Taslan natives, right?
right, yeah, yeah.
Is that energy that comes from the sun, that is fire, right? That comes in the spirit of the serpent, that is light, that is information, is our. Don't let somebody manipulate that energy
Right.
by saying, you're worthless, you're a wetback. Oh, really? Right?
No, right, right, right.
It's our focused energy, right? So then the leaders that manipulate this knowledge will use that serpent in a symbol, right? And you think they're talking about something else. You think they're talking about the evil snake, but they're talking about knowing how to manipulate energy, is what I'm saying.
Right, right. Well, also too, Ruben, you gotta think about something. And I don't know if it's the unspoken, but the religion, that mindset is all man. It's all men. There's no women in that. And so what's interesting is that okay, and the reason I say that is the other day I come out and there's these ladies talking to my dad, and I'm like, hey, who are these ladies? And apparently they're a bunch of proselytizing, trying to spread the word. And I was like, hey, man, what are you guys doing here? Oh, yeah. We're talking about, I said, hey, you know what? I don't want to hear that, man. I said, you know what? I said, you all women come around here, and that's cool. But not even that, really. I said, where in nature do we see the women, running everything? Because you got me here, and you have me go to your church. When I go to your church, who's going to talk to me? You all going to be there talking to me? Or am I going to listen to some fucking puto out here just going to sit on a platform? It doesn't look like any of you. Start telling me how shit is. And they just kind of looked at me like, yeah, exactly. They sent all the women out telling you all come to the church. And then you hear some dumb asshole up there sitting on the platform doing what you're saying, and it's like, dude, life ain't like that. It's just like when you go to court. That shit's weird as fuck. Like, that's not like anything in life. Nothing in life is like that. And they make it up, and I don't know who the hell they are exactly, but they set it up in a way that like that puto fucking cop tried to make it sound like all the raza that was trying to protect the taco vendors, that they're terrorists. Bro, see, that's the type of real shit. Because when you're talking about what you're talking about, to me, I'm thinking of that. Like, how does this puto sit there with all the resources that we put in and call us terrorists because we're protecting ourselves against a fucking rogue pig that just wants to go and crush people? Because think about it, bro. When do we talk about killing people or crushing people?
But we're not like them, Daniel. That's why. But
But Ruben, we live in the same space, and for them to be allowed to say that, and for us to just sit there and take it, nah, man, that's okay. Here's the thing: if they're allowed to say that, then we should be able to say exactly what they say, and to have no less or more ramifications. That's just
you're talking about people who stole your land,
well.
raped
Here's
you
the thing,
all.
Ruben. But
Like,
I myself,
and after a while, after they put you into orphanages, after they
well,
this I'm talking about like 100 years, like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It wasn't a very nice place in California. They were murdering, raping
Ruben, but they came
children,
from the east,
kidnapping
brother.
children.
But we
We
were
just
here, and they
finally
came
got to
from
a place where we're civilized or whatever you want to call it, and then we go, wow, there's a morality in someone, and how do they get to do that and we don't get to do that? And it doesn't. If we leave the good and bad alone and stick to observation and see the patterns,
for sure.
we'll dominate them. We'll dominate them.
But I don't even think
We'll
that they're
dominate them
even
because they don't have patience. They
right.
don't have the patience
But
to
Ruben,
wait for the pattern.
I would take it even further, brother. This is what I've been telling my nephew, okay? And this is for everyone out there, okay? They, who's not us, they don't have a plan. They don't have a leader. They don't have an idea for the future. They have nothing to offer me as Daniel, who looks at a book that goes back 5,000 years that predicts the lunar eclipses that they're talking about. That's good that they're beginning to look up at the sky and beginning to understand where we live and how the planet works, because they haven't been on that vibration for a long time. We're on that vibration. So it's like, I know that we just have to be good at your heart. And, we have to somehow swerve through being true to our native self. And at the same time, too, making resources, while not falling under, because, if you don't have resources today, you're in a tough position. And I hate that that's the fact. But, like even myself, my dad, he busted his ass to work 60, 70 years so we can own the land, the house that we're at, And so like, man, we here have come a long way. And so I just, I know we have. And I mean, I don't know, it's just such a struggle, but it's not over. But I definitely see it better today than it was last year. It's better than it was last month. And I mean, I hadn't seen it like that in a while, because I don't know, Ruben. I think that the people you're talking about, their shit's coming apart right now, and I'm not laughing, but man, I know I'm gonna have to clean this shit up. You know, so the less I have to clean up, better. But you know what? We're still here, and we ain't going nowhere. We never went anywhere. We're the only people that everyone in the world came here to be free, came here to find a liberty. How the fuck? What did we get? Because when they look at me and say we're all from somewhere, fuck you, I'm from here. No, my family's from nowhere else. But we act accordingly, Ruben. I'm a native, so I welcome people. That's what we did. We have knowledge. I don't need lies. I could use resources, but I don't need to steal from people to get them. You know, I make my money in a good way, and I'm happy with it. Just like you, when you do your powders, man, you know that you're doing something good for somebody, and then you're making some money off of that. Like, man, that's not a concept that they brought us, dude. They thought that they could make money, and God ordained them to their God. Their God must fucking hate me.
I think I think it's like I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like if it's like just like the powders. Like I invented the powders not to make money.
No, of course not.
I invented the powders because I did a calculation that I knew was going to affect the body parts inside your body, like the organs inside your body, give them optimal health so that the body can heal. And once the body heals, you get control of that energy serpent,
Hey,
right?
Ruben, compare that to a Pepsi, brother. You know what I mean? Compare your shit to a Pepsi. You know what I mean? Like, think of how it's just different. You know what I mean? And like, your stuff should be like a Pepsi. Everyone should be drinking that stuff. It should be all over the world. But Ruben, it's just like the world is broken right now. You know what I mean? It's just like,
But
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is that whether you use my formula or whether you develop your own formula,
Right.
the answer is there.
Hey, hold on. Hey,
Right?
Ruben,
If you focus on these things, because it comes down to the perspective of science and what people call religion, but I believe our ancestors called the unknowing.
Yeah.
So there's always a equation that equates to what it's not just Mother Earth. Mother Earth has minerals. Minerals go into our water.
Right.
Which is our body, 80% water.
But
Then
Ruben,
the electrical serpent that comes from the sky
right.
conducts our body and gives us energy.
And it has to have a negative charge, Ruben. It has to have a negative charge to have, you know what I'm saying? That negativeness is descalipoca.
Right.
It worked out for us, man. We understood it, Ruben. And it's like, you're right. It's because we understood the order to things. But the thing is, they came into
Through observation.
Yes. And they used our information to make money.
Yeah. But money's irrelevant. That's
right. Exactly.
It's like, because I already know that the equation that I came up with the powder, eventually the side effect of that will be money.
Right. No, of course.
It's not.
Ruben, I want to also comment. Somebody said here, does LA natives hate white folks? Are all white folks the same then and now? But hold on a second. Just to deal with this, my birth certificate says I'm white.
But where
Ruben,
did
for
we
all
talk
intents
about
and
white people
purposes,
badly?
Ruben, you're white.
Yeah, but
so two white guys are on the native.
We talk about white people like in a negative.
I don't know where it came from, but I'm just saying, Ruben.
Whoever said that, why don't they call on?
No, Ruben. I'm just saying. I don't know if I read it wrong, but I'm just saying I'm white by my birth certificate, and you're white because you're white.
Well, I'm not. I'm not European descent. I have. I probably have a recessive gene that makes me white, but I'm not of European descent.
But you're the light skin.
You know what I am? I'm what I practice.
Yes.
I'm what I practice. I practice the Nemotemi, which is the Mexica way of cleansing oneself and understanding and getting yourself to full potential. I fast every day. I wake up with the sun and I greet it. I go outside at 12 noon and I greet it as well. So I am what I practice, and we have to get to that space where we are what we practice, not what we know.
Well, but what I'm saying to Ruben is they could try to talk bad about us, but how can I talk bad about myself? Like I always talk about white people because I'm white. My birth certificate, you look under my initial, it says white. You know, and so I use that to the full extent that I can because I'm white for all intent. The way this fucking shit breaks down, I use that to my extent, especially when I get pulled over. Hey, I'm white, fucker.
I mean, the system itself is unfair. It's always been unfair. Always will.
That's why, Ruben, you got to use whatever you can to your advantage, man, because they do too. You know what I mean? And like, how are you not like? Okay, you're tall, Ruben. So like, why would you do something like, oh, we need a tall person? Well, I shouldn't go because I'm taller than everybody. Come on, dude. You got to take advantage of whatever nature, whatever the Creator gave you. You take advantage of that, man, because you want to excel. You don't only want to survive. You want to thrive. And where this mentality comes, come on, we're natives, man. It's like, as natives, brother, we're going to thrive here because we didn't go nowhere. We're just adjusting to the new way. We speak English and Spanish now. We speak a new language. But here's the thing, too, Ruben. Think about this and what you're talking about. This experiment, because this is an experiment, and it speaks English. That's its limitation, brother, because before that, it was Spanish. And before that, it was Athabascan, Navajo, Nahuatl, all these languages that describe this place. And so if you reject that language, you reject history, you reject knowledge. Well, that's what the English did. They came here and said, fuck, we're going to go 150 years. We're not going to go all the way back. And that's what the problem is. They have a concept and a fictional character, a whole fucking anthology on this motherfucker named Christopher Columbus. You know that fucker don't exist? You know that, right?
No, not really.
Okay, he doesn't exist.
Okay.
The individual they're talking about, his name is Cristobal Colon. Not the same guy at all. Like Columbus is literally after fucking liberty. You know, and so what they do is they just hear something, translate it, and fuck it up. It's the same way they told us they landed in India, when India wasn't even India back then. It's Indios, which means without God. We were the people without God to the Spanish. So people don't want to talk about these truths, man.
There's a really good documentary called Standard Oil, and it's about the Rockefellers, right?
Right.
And the Rockefellers, when they when they started exploiting the earth for
Hey, but hold on real quick. Hector, no, we don't hate anybody. That's the thing, man. This isn't about
no,
hate.
what we hate is a perspective. That's why I always talk about
But
perspective.
I seldom hate though, because you got to really care about somebody to hate them. You know what I mean? And I myself, I just don't care about people that much. I don't. You know, it's really because you can't feed into that negative shit. You know, it's like I was saying earlier. It's like there's people in your life that they just don't vibe with you. You just clip them, man. You don't need to send them bad shit. Or no, you just don't hang out with them. You know, and that's it. It's hate takes energy and time. And you don't want that. It's not a good energy. When you carry hate, it's like saying, "Oh fuck, I want that person to die," and you eat the poison. No, we don't do that. It's the same shit they tell you. Keep your enemies close. Man, that's your fucking enemy tells you that. You know what I mean? Like so much dumb shit that this fucking in English they tell you don't make no fucking sense. Like breakfast, it's a break of the fast. That means it's an ayuno. It's the end of the fast. And it's like, don't get me started. It's just language, man. When you learn language, you realize how stupid the fucking English are, how late they are to the story here. You know, and what it is that there's people in the circle, okay? And we're all part of the circle. And the last fucker in the circle, that's what's fucking it up. Simple. We've all been here doing this shit, man. You think about it, our people do it. And that's the thing, Ruben. The other day, my nephew saw this fucking guy with a chimpanzee hat. The guy says, "Oh, you're from Mexico." It's like, man, you fuck. This has been Mexico longer than it's been anything else. But people hate Mexico. But that's how you know they're colonized. Why would you hate a country that's just fucking
because we lost the
culture?
war. We lost the war. We lost California. This used to be Mexico. They will never treat
really
us
lose it.
Well, we lost it.
Here.
But I'm talking about like this is the United States now, and
Well,
we're the prisoners.
how long? How long has it been the U.S. and how long will it be?
I'm completely in agreement with you and how long and all that stuff. But you're talking about a perspective from a white person, and if you're,
Ruben, I grew up with them, man.
if
And
they
like to talk to me.
a white person is going to come at you with, well, this is no longer your land.
Oh, bullshit.
You lost. I get it. I get you.
Wait, hold, Ruben.
Yes, you don't want you're
no,
not.
I live in truth. I live in truth. Check it out, Ruben.
Of course, and I want the truth too, and that's I'm in the same boat as you. But you're talking about a white person,
right? And let me just
addressing you.
Okay, so here's the thing. That white
I'm telling you that the white person has already read history books that said the United States beat Mexico. In his mind, he's already superior to you because you are a prisoner of war. It doesn't mean that you're not smart, Daniel. It doesn't mean that you don't have philosophy. It doesn't mean that you don't have any of those. I'm telling you that the perspective of that white colonial settler has a superiority over you because in the history books that he read said that you lost the war and now you become a prisoner of war. Innately. This is the type of warfare that they come with. This comes way back from the Vatican. This goes way back to the Vatican. But it's changed names and it has a different this and that, but it's the same.
This guy, Mexico is never a good country. Oh my God.
I'm just saying, what I'm saying.
On, let me say this, okay, is this, okay, so that I myself, I'm Mexican. My dad's Mexican. All my indigenous blood, everything on the side is my dad's side. Mexico goes in and fixes countries when they fucking have disasters. When the shit goes down in the world, Mexico goes in and fixes that shit. Mexico sends out labor to the whole world. Yeah, there's some domestic issues in Mexico, but you know what? Who paints a picture of that? Because I think anybody in the United States, you travel the world, and they love Mexico to like you wouldn't even understand. Like, how do you love Mexico so much? Because you know what? They see the truth of Mexico. They see the culture, the food, the politics, the fucking the people. The thing is that we in the United States, you know that you're poisoned when you fucking hate Mexicans. Because I'm Mexican and I'm proud of who I am. But I'd even go further than this. Is it being a Mexican here? They didn't. Okay, white people, as you described, come out and talk. And the thing is that when they talk in the wars that they fought, all the military looks like me. We're the ones that go out, kick shit, and shoot guns. Like, we're the fuckers that fight. And why would they, in any rhetoric, come out and look at us? The majority of the military that fights the wars look like
Why?
me.
Why? Because they read a book.
So
They
I'm
read a
the one
book in
that's fighting the
school.
wars. These motherfuckers talking shit, and it's like, you know what? Now I'm a soldier right in front of you. You're telling me that you somehow are connected to me fighting hand to hand with people? Okay,
I'm not.
the day's going to come when these people, they want to go hand to hand with us because there's not going to have guns no more. And the thing is,
We don't even need
I'm
to go
protecting my
that.
kids or my nephew. Fuck, dude. You know what I mean? And I'll follow the rules. And within the rules, man, I'm going to clear that shit up because it's
To
just
survive.
when you have knowledge. It's power.
But to
Knowledge,
survive
power,
in the
equals
jungle,
power.
to survive in the jungle, one must be like a jaguar and patient
Right, Ruben. And the
and
thing is,
unseen
knowledge too.
and
Knowledge
unseen
is power.
and unseen and pounce when it's time.
Right.
And
It's
the
just, Ruben,
patience.
you know.
Sometimes a jaguar will wait 3-4 days.
Right. And
You
the
could
thing
have
is,
got him in the first day.
right.
He
And the thing
waits
is, you know,
3
Ruben.
to 4 days because we have to go back to ancestral patterns
But Ruben, I do
and
that.
being patient enough for those patterns to sink in. Once we understand the ancestral patterns, then we can observe. And it takes time. That's why I never said, when I tell people that I'll never see the freedom of our people, I'll never see it. I'll never see it because once we get patience and we observe for 100 years and stop complaining, write down what the patterns of these colonials are, because what they do is they distort our reality. They put us in trauma and we skip this loop. Don't you think it's the same? It's the same thing. We were talking about it earlier, Scott.
Ruben, I would say this
right now in this time and day and time, we're pretty much in Nazi Germany time.
Well, okay, and so be it, Ruben. And you know what?
But it's a loop, is what I'm pointing out.
Nazi Germany.
It's a loop. It's a loop. We lived it 50 years ago, and now we're living it again. And the repercussions of those 50 years are going to, because it's a loop. It's a loop.
It ended up where it needed to be in Germany. It's not here. Okay,
no, it's happening now in Israel, in the Middle East. It's still happening.
Right. It's okay, Ruben. But I'm just saying here where I live,
and it's the same people.
Well,
it's the same people.
Well, the settlers, they're the settlers. But here, let me say this, Ruben. Okay, right now, there's 2 women vying for the presidency of Mexico. Okay, so there's gonna be a woman that's gonna take over, Mexico. And so, like myself, this is prophecy, brother. This is the way shit should be going. Women should be in charge of shit. And you can say what you want, I apologize for that. I myself, I've been going to Mexico all my life. And AMLO, who's the president now, he's the first president, and I don't know, since Cardenas, that's not an American puppet. He didn't go to Harvard. He didn't go to Yale. He didn't go to any of those places. I've been going to Mexico for 20 years, and for 20 years, that guy's been getting bashed at the elect. That guy's been railroaded. So you know what? They've got a Mexican president. They've had a Mexican president for the past 4 years, and he's just mimicking what the U.S. has done for as long as you've been. And all you gotta do is start reading it. Read his the newscasts. See what they're asking. I mean, it's beautiful, man. Because you know what? They're gonna build that wall and build it big. Build it so that no one can get in. And that's what the people don't get. They don't get that. Build it big. How do you build it? But then you're not going to be able to get in anymore because we get so many resources from Mexico. It's not even funny. And the things, I know this. You sit at the border. You cut the border off one day, and they say it's like $400 million. Okay, think about that. And man, you're talking about people that love money. Come on, man. There's the reality, and then there's the TV and the shows and all that shit. But you know what, man? Like when I'm in LA, all I see is raza everywhere, and they're going to work. They're not stealing. They ain't taking shit. They're going to work. And then I see my nephew here, same thing. But here, it's more not only raza, then there's Filipinos, there's Chinos, there's like Chinese. The people are going to work, man. And we're not trying to steal shit from people. We're not trying to come up on people. But if you don't got knowledge,
people that take pride in doing that.
Ruben,
there are people that love doing that. The people
and we're the ones that are going to choose the right, brother. We're not going to follow this bullshit.
People that rule the world do that.
Right.
So our answer, what is our answer to that? It's not to be angry. It's not to be protesting. It's not to be. It's to be observant.
What's interesting?
It's to be observant. It's to be observant. It's to be.
But the protest, Ruben, caused change, man. That's what kind of tripped me out.
But think about it though. That protest kind of reminds me of the protest for Vietnam. It kind of reminds me of the protest for all these protests. There's the same thing. It's the same loop, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's the same loop. It's the same loop. Yeah, different region, different people, but the war's kind of the same because everybody in the news is saying if someone drops a nuke on this place in the Middle East,
But Ruben,
And everyone else is going to press their button,
but ultimately,
right? And they
gun's
just
not gonna
issued.
win.
They just issued.
Yeah, right. They
They
issued
just
an
issued
arrest warrant.
a arrest
As well they
warrant for
should.
people that are causing this because they're afraid that someone is going to drop a nuke on that place. And once that nuke gets dropped on that place, everyone else is going to just boom, boom,
Hey, but
boom,
Ruben,
boom,
hold on.
boom.
Let's go on that same
It's
theme. And
it's
like, there's
but there was
5
a plan. There
Americans.
was there, and let me finish one thing. But there was a plan. The World Economic Forum has a plan. The plan was first, if they don't fall in line with the sickness, then this is phase 2, and this is phase 3, right? The phase 3 was just let it go, and that's why in Europe went we're gonna have an international court. And we're gonna pump the brakes on this because you're going buck wild right now. You're going buck wild. They're getting to the point where now we're in that stupid loop again. And what? In a few years, we're gonna have a Nuremberg-like trial, and people are gonna go to jail. But the chaos already happened. The children are already dead. The hundreds of thousands of children that are gonna be traumatized for the next 100 years happened. It's happening. We don't know what the repercussion for our psyche is going to be. We saw it on the phone. We seen it. I seen this thing, and it was a kid just shaking his fucking ass off. We're in a loop. We're in a loop. Observe the loop. Observe it. It's happening again. And then we'll calm down, and then peace will happen, and then we'll be right back to that again.
Hello. Bueno.
That's what I'm saying.
I got a caller.
Oh,
What happened?
yo.
Who do you have on?
Bueno.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
I can hear him.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
hey,
can hear the caller too.
This
right?
is Zero.
Broken up.
This is Zero.
Oh, what's up, Zero?
What's up? Who's this?
How you doing, sir? This is Hector, man. Mexica.
What's up, Hector?
Hey, my bad fool. I wasn't
What's up,
trying
Hector?
to get you guys all like wild up over comments. It's just I'm going in and out of the thing, and anyways, I just had a simple question. I wasn't trying to get you guys upset.
No, I know, but it's all good. It's all good.
You know, because I have youngsters, and sometimes they hear the show and they wonder. They ask me, you know, do they have like hate for the folks? And I go, nah. So then, how do you explain something to someone and not express hate? So that's why it was like,
That's a
yeah,
good
you know,
question.
I just had to ask, you know. I mean, I know your story, Ruben. But
Okay,
I
well,
just
check it out, homie. Okay, so check it out. So
what do you guys
for me,
do?
so for me, Denawak, I grew up in an all-white neighborhood. I was the only brown face fucking my whole life.
Yeah.
Yo, guys, like how I always say, I don't like the white people that disrespect the land, the water, the wind, the fire.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know the thing is,
Perspective. But we're fighting. Okay, so
We all have white homies, right?
of course, and the thing is that a lot of
Second,
people hated me because of the color of my skin, and I didn't understand it. I did not understand it as a youngster. I didn't understand it. And then, I mean, I'd hear shit, and like I told man, one of the worst guys that would hassle me became a cop, and he always wanted to be a cop, and he would always call me Mexican. Yeah, you're Mexican. I was like, what the fuck's this guy's problem? You know, because you don't think that way. But things like, I'll tell you something. I don't hate because I don't have hate inside me, and I was fortunate. But I mean, if you hate them, then they win, man, and that's what's not good, you know. And we can't let that hate take us over, you know. And I think that I learned,
Yeah.
you know, and I learned that not all white people are bad, you know. And it's like, here's a crazy thing for me. I was raised that my Theo was a real coconut, man. Like, fuck. So he always be dating white people, and he would bring home white girls or white ladies, and they were so nice to us. And we were just thinking, wow, are all white people not? Because you grew up with your experience, you know. And so it's just how you're raised. But I learned too that my dad,
Yeah.
as a customer, all the customers were white, and they were so nice to us. And so, you know, it's you learn that they're not all bad, you know. And it's just, but if that's all you meet that are bad, how could you tell them otherwise? You know, it's tough. But I think working with the youth, and it's just that's a blessing, Hector. You know what I mean? It's just But yeah, we don't hate
So
them.
It's hard to teach them something without
this is
letting them feel like animosity or hate towards another culture.
this is
Because we were conquered. Yes, we were invaded. Yes, these people came and did wrong things to us. But in the end, like there's folks here, I'm pretty sure they would not allow that to happen.
Yes, exactly. Like
there's tons of bad people.
right.
And I used to have that when I was younger. Be like, oh, white people this, white people that. I'm like, damn, we're on this whole bowl together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And you know what's interesting?
So it's like I can't just look at all of them and be like, you damn invading dongs.
Right.
Damn
Because then you just be them.
I know they're not. You know what I mean? They're looking for peace.
We can't be them. We cannot be them.
I've always said maybe what they need is like with the reverse action, what they did to us. They killed the Indians supposedly to save the man. But I think what needs to happen to them, or what they need and what they're looking for, is for us to kill that man, to put the Indian in that motherfucker so he can find his spirituality. You know what I mean? Because that's what he's looking for.
Well, it's interesting.
So he can find peace with the earth. You know what I mean?
But think about it, Hector. Today, think of how many white, light-skinned Mexicanos are out there. People, because it tripped me out. And like I don't see them different. I went to Mexico. In Mexico, man, there's all kinds of güeros. Mexicano is Mexicano.
Yeah.
Like as Mexica, we had brown, black, white, and yellow. We had all the colors. So race was never an issue for us. And if you look at it in the barrio, people of other cultures, other races always move into the barrio, man. And it's like, they don't really pick on them, man. I mean, it's just, we're not like that. We're just not like that.
The way I view it, and I think the like before I used to think, indigenous. And then if we think about the word indigenous, it's just, for me, this is just me. I think of it as sharing, right? Indigenous means sharing knowledge, sharing food, sharing where we stay, sharing water, right? It's indigenous means to share. So if we break down that word indigenous and it meaning to share, then there is no such thing as race.
Right.
There is no such
everyone's
thing.
indigenous somewhere, no?
Everyone is a person. Everyone is alive. Everyone is alive. Everyone is alive. The commonality that I have with you is the fact that you're alive and so am I, right? The tree is alive and so am I. The deer is alive and so am I. The river is alive and so am I. That's the commonality that we have. Everything is alive. So we do not hate white people. Please, I'm so sorry that I miss.
But here's the thing. I would say.
Wait. I'm sorry I said something that confused someone.
He said kids too. He said kids.
Nobody,
but wait.
You don't have to apologize to nobody because we're just trying to.
But I want clarity.
This is not even,
I don't want kids to watch this show and think we hate white people.
Yeah, because we need clarity. We don't see race. We only see we're sharing. If we're going to take that indigenous title, then we're going to share, right? And we're going to share with people who are white if they're treating us right. It's a perspective.
Hey, look,
it's a colonial perspective. We switched from white people to colonial perspective. Those that think of the earth as more, they think more of themselves than the earth. More of them, like Armando was saying, the fire, the water, the air.
Right.
And check this out. I've had a few jobs in my life. All the cool bosses were white boys.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Had to say it.
All the raza hate on you. All the raza want to hate on you and fire you.
Raza boss is fucking want to fire your ass. I'm just being real.
You did not go nowhere.
I know, dude.
But if you catch what I'm saying, Hector, is that we know what philosophies gave respect to these things that I just mentioned, right? The earth, the air, the water, the fire, the community, right? We know who did that. There's African communities that do that. There's Asian communities that do that. We're just people.
Yeah.
We're just people. But a group of individuals started conquering the world with violence, rape, and theft, and then started putting.
But aren't most of those people dead? Aren't all those people dead? Do we now live with their children? Do we blame their children? Are we gonna?
If they're still doing it, yes.
Prove justice on their kids forever until like how long do they have to hear it before they're like, you know what? Damn, I'm sorry, my ancestors conquered you. You know what do you want us to do? Get back on the boat and go right back over there and say bye. You know, like they've already been here a long time. They're happy here. You know, and it's hard to me. And most of them, you know, what can I say? You know, it goes for all razas. Like you guys say, everyone wants to come here. Everyone's happy here.
Right, but Hector, I would say this, man. I remember this, and I'll always remember this.
It's not about them going back anywhere. It's for them to understand the philosophies of the land. Because at one point, the land's going to strike back. At one point, and that's what's the most important thing about observing when the land strikes back.
But we've all experienced when someone of white complexion feels like they're superior to you or feels like they're smarter than you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I've never felt that. Right? I've never felt any white person superior to me ever in my life.
I've fucking dealt with it plenty of times.
Yeah,
and I've been on tour, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you live in this bubble in LA, bro, but I've been to about 30 states. When you travel more east and get into the east and Midwest area, it's nothing but white people.
You get intimidated. You see a dude in a suit, you automatically get intimidated.
Hell no.
It's not.
That goes the same for all people. I see a well-dressed black man, a well-dressed Chicano. You know, why them though? Why do we have
I'm dying to tell the story, man. People? I got a great story here. It's relevant to the point, man. If you guys, can I tell the story?
Sure.
So, go ahead, Ruben.
No, go.
Okay, so I attended a Sundance in Mexico City, or Mexico back in '96. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Sundance, Hector?
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with it. I've never been to it, but I've heard of it, and I know what it is.
Fucking Hector, dude. I just recognized your fucking voice. I was trying to go, fuck.
Yeah, fool. Remember when I ran out of the goddamn thing because I couldn't take the heat?
What's on the story after Daniel?
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine.
That's a good story. Okay, so
let's go.
Is that so we're there, and it's a long process leading to the Sundance because it's a few days. You have to gather wood and such, and to those days, people start showing up from everywhere. And man, there was a good amount of white people there, and it was interesting because a few people were visually bothered by that, and it was an interesting situation. And here was the thing: the guy that seemed the most bothered with it, they went picking up wood and shit. Somehow that guy fell and fucked up his back, and then he had to leave. You know, and it was just like everyone's like, whoa, you know. Well, I'm just saying, you know. And so I learned a lot, man, because I'll tell you this honestly, brother, the white people who were in that circle were the coolest fucking people. One guy was a doctor. Another one was like a fucking teacher. They were just people that like, because I think, and I know this too, even if you watch Blood In, Blood Out, the Güeros always have to be harder. Always have to be harder. I've noticed that. I mean, you know, I love him to death, but like Lucas, the homie, oh my God, light skin homie, that's the hardest dude in LA. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just like,
that's funny, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, and I love our culture. You know what I mean? And it's just like, but understand, brother, we have love in our heart. And so if you're good,
we can love our culture enough, but we don't have to hate another one. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing, brother. I got white people in my family. We got relatives in Georgia that are straight Güeros, and so. You know what I mean? I can't hate them because they're my family, you know? And I mean, it's just, that's me, you know?
But there's stages that one goes through.
That was my story.
Yeah. There's stages that we all go through, you know, and I'm not saying that I wasn't at a stage where I hated what we call white people. Now I don't even see white people. I just see people.
Yeah.
I just see people and the way they act Yeah. And if you act foul, if you act evil, if you act deceptive, then I stay away from you.
Well, look, a couple years back, we were on tour. We were in the middle of fucking nowhere, somewhere in Utah or some shit.
Mm-hmm. I bet Utah.
Just a gang of Mexicans and black homies. We were with Percy P.
Oh, damn.
Oh, shit.
Big homie, Percy P. Legendary hip hop artist. So we walk into the restaurant, party at 10, right? And we see the chef smoking a cigarette outside. He's a big white boy. Big hit with the boots and everything, with the truck, everything, right? So we order our food.
Awesome.
So we
This is
all order.
good one.
Look, check this out. So we all order our food. The fucker decides not to cook for us.
Oh, damn.
So that was a big red flag.
Damn.
Of like, yo, this shit does exist. Fuck this restaurant.
And you're right. When you get more into the middle of America, that's pretty much,
Why did he not want to cook for us? I don't know.
Because he probably didn't like you guys.
Exactly.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
The
but
fact-
A bunch of rappers walking into a restaurant.
He's not the face of his people. That's just one dumbass.
Absolutely.
right. Good point.
But
You know what I mean?
You know what though, Hector? You know what?
It's just bad luck.
I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying because we're privileged.
Hey, I get bad luck all the time, man.
But the
You could have
cook.
ran into a cook. who's
No,
like, hell
but the
yeah.
cook was already in cahoots with the waitress and the server. They were all in on it.
nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, you can tell Ruben about
We
my
blood in,
food.
blood out, guys. You ain't coming in here.
Right. That was-
And then to follow that up on the next tour, we walk into a restaurant. The homie's wearing a Tupac t-shirt, and I'm wearing a Tupac t-shirt. They fucking tell us to leave.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then I'm like, yo, fuck this. Let me talk to the manager. This is insulting, disrespectful. And the manager comes out. Oh yeah, I agree with her.
Damn.
Get out.
Damn.
What?
Nice.
Somewhere in Kansas. It was at an A&W report. So look, racism does exist, guys.
Oh yeah.
I walk into a liquor store with the homie Prodak. The white girl's like, hey, where you guys from? Oh, we're from LA. Oh my God, dude. She was fucking, she thought she saw ghosts. Oh my
Nice.
God, how's LA? Am I going to get murdered in LA? People really think that way.
Well, imagine imagine the things they hear, and then what do you expect?
Right.
So
You know?
But like you said, those are isolated incidences. But if you go in the
Yeah,
middle of the
it's
rural
not a
country,
general-
it's all over the place.
But Hector, we're privileged enough to live in Los Angeles where people are wealthy. People, white people are so wealthy, they're fucking happy and they're cool. You know what I mean? Like, but there's other places that they're fucking really poor.
There's unhappy people here in the hood, in the raza. So are they wrong too?
Well,
I
you know
think
what,
when
though,
it comes to raza, when it comes to raza, when it comes to,
Different.
but when it comes to
They're
raza,
unhappy.
But
when it
I
comes
grew up
to
around
Rasta.
white people, man. They're very, very haterish, man. They're very like they don't have a lot going on.
Well, yeah, most of them have a single family home. They're
Right,
raised, they don't
right,
have a
right.
father and a mother
They
at home.
love
What do you
flavor.
expect? They're all into drugs. You know what I mean? They're like the first test subject. You know?
Right. But they hate us until they love us. You know what I mean? They hate us until they love us.
but when it comes to raza,
I mean, look here, they tested
Right.
they did some crazy shit to them too. I mean, they turned Manson into a
They
crazy
deserved
guy.
it.
but
That sucks.
when it comes to raza,
Wow.
when it comes to raza, like you're addressing, we can't forget the path that we walk to get to this dysfunction, right?
No,
I'm not.
but there has to be a point where you cut it. You cut
Right,
it and you
right,
say,
right.
"I'm no longer."
Yeah,
that
but
victim."
that takes discipline.
Yeah.
That
If you
takes
wanna live
discipline.
if you want to keep continuing, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. I'm trying to talk over you.
That takes discipline. That takes discipline. If you go back in history, to the Mexica culture, it's very disciplined.
Well, damn fool. Then I get to ask you. I hate to ask you. Do you teach your kids
Do I teach my kids what?
to think like a victim? Like, oh my God, I'm oppressed. They're
Oh, no,
superior,
absolutely
so I'm
not.
always going to be oppressed.
No, I teach my
you know?
teach
Oh,
my
they conquered
children.
me, you know.
No, I teach my
So I
children
know what you do.
to be creative.
Because I feel bad for him too. His kids are not.
I just feel bad because when does that end? When do we say to ourselves, you know what? We're no longer victims. We're gonna take charge of our lives, and we're no longer gonna blame another race or whatever or people. And we're just gonna do what we do and move forward. No,
Yeah.
Hey, to
Absolutely.
move forward, to think about it, I've never even been fucking promoted by someone, a raza or black. Every time I got a promotion, it was a white man. Sad to add that.
But you know what, though, Mondo? I think that the way Raza set up, you're very intimidating, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know your shit. You know, I mean, you don't need a boss, bro. You know, you really don't. You're on your own shit.
Yeah, I don't have a boss anymore.
And I
but
agree with
I'm
you,
just
Hector.
saying.
I agree with you
but
100%.
for good reason, though, Mondo.
We have to come out of.
You have some diversity there.
We gotta come out of victimhood. But the way we come
for
out
sure.
of victimhood, is by being.
You don't think it's been long enough?
Right.
The way we come out of victimhood is not as a group, is as individuals. When we address our historical trauma, whatever traumas that we're dealing with, when we address our diet, when we focus on things like accomplishing things, right? And the way I learned how to accomplish things was by fasting for 5 days, because when I physically fasted for 5 days, I accomplished that. And I just took that momentum and kept accomplishing things, right? I mean, you knew me, Hector, when we were still selling pop-ups, right? Now I have a
Yes,
store.
sir.
Now I have a store.
Right.
You know,
Yes, sir.
it's because I had to erase the victimhood, of course, erase it. But with what? Just because I know that I can't be a victim anymore? No, it has to be
I
attached
mean,
to
you have a storefront on Whittier Boulevard.
Right.
No?
right.
Right.
But it came with
You know?
discipline. It came with
And
the
I'm pretty
discipline.
sure the first block wasn't a white person. It was probably Raza to, hey, oh no, we can't rent it to you. We're gonna raise the rent
You know, luckily,
because this gay couple over here wants to rent it for their art gallery or
Right.
something.
Oh my God.
no,
You know, for
luckily,
$5,000 so they can open it just once a weekend.
Right.
luckily, I was able to get help by an organization that helps me, like that's slowing down gentrification. They don't even say that they're stopping it; they're just slowing it down. And I happen to be one of the business of color on Whittier Boulevard, offering plant-based food to a place where you can't find plant-based food. But not only that, the mineral foods. Because it's important to
You stick
understand.
around, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
'cause that's
important
the
to
advanced
understand
movement.
that the victimhood gets raised when you address your body that's suffering that oppression. You see, when you become healthy, and in whatever way you can, in whatever way you could eat meat, you can exercise 15 days, 20 days out of the month, do whatever you got to do, just be healthy. Because what I've come to realize is that when the cells are, when we're looking at the micro and the macro, right? The micro would be one individual blood cell that's living in my body, which we have trillions. But when the cells are weak, then how can you remember anything? But when the cells are powerful, when the cells are in a body that's disciplined, then you remember everything. Because the memory is in the blood. And that's how you free yourself, Hector. Individual, one at a time. Focus on yourself. Everyone has the power to do it. And if you don't, then you are still a victim.
Yo, we're smashing on the views right now. The comments lit. Everyone viewing, man. We have well over 20 people watching us live right now. Just make sure you hit that like button.
Chat.
Hit that like button on the video. It's going to help the algorithm. Add a comment. Share
Hey, Mondo, I want to know if you heard about these people.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're not already.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey,
Hey,
Mondo.
Hector, thanks for calling, my carnal. I appreciate
hey,
it.
Thank you very much, brother.
Get out to, man. Hey, but I want to know if you heard about these people that are in jail for carrying bullets. You know, in
Where?
People, why were they carrying bullets? Isn't
exactly. But I'm just saying, they're
I guess
Americans.
they were Americans and they were in a different country. And
they were carrying bullets. They were carrying bullets, and so they're going to serve 12 years in prison for carrying bullets.
What country were they in?
I want to say it was somewhere in the Caribbean. But I'm not sure. But I mean, they were having a problem with guns there, and so they decided to make the laws tough. And it's 5 Americans that came through there. And here's the fucked up thing: there's an American governor here trying to talk them to trying to lessen the amount of years they serve, but that's their country and that's the rules they set.
Yeah,
it's like, why? And this is what I'm saying, man, is that once we put guns down in this country, it's going to happen across the world. Because, man, all of us that don't have guns, we're going to win. The people with the guns aren't going to win this. They're not. And it's just no way they can. And it's just a shift.
You need a gun. Everybody needs to have one. You have to have one.
But brother, you have one, but if you got to use it, you shouldn't have it. You're right. You should have it and not to have it to use it. But eventually,
better to have one than not to have it.
But eventually, we gotta not have them. Eventually, we gotta live without guns because a bitch fucking runs around with a gun. Hey,
yo! You hear us?
It's we're getting to that point. People like to talk.
We have another caller. Hello.
Jose Gonzalez isn't indigenous. Sorry, I had to laugh at that.
Jose Gonzalez isn't indigenous.
Jose what?
I think that was. I think that was meant to be a joke.
Jose
But I
Gonzalez.
mean, you gotta laugh, man, because we can't take ourselves too serious, you know. Oh man, I love it. I love it. And what's funny too is I told you my homie in Tahoe, Rudy Gonzalez, white is white, man. You'd think he was a white guy, you know. But that's the thing, you can't tell.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Who's this?
There's Arturo.
Arturo. What's up,
Arturo,
Arturo?
what's going
Welcome
on,
to
man?
LA Natives.
LA natives.
What's up?
Oh, hey, what's up, man?
You have a comment, question?
Yeah, man, I have a comment.
Cool. Let's go. What's your comment? Yes.
Man, about the race thing, because I feel like everybody's kind of defending the white man a little bit.
Whoa, you flipped the script on LA Natives right there.
Hey,
boy.
we found someone that hates white people right here.
The green light on him.
Nah. There ain't no hate. I just understand it. I
Sure.
understand it.
Sure.
I don't have to hate it, but I understand. So I understand why everybody would kind of want to defend the white man because they taught us everything. So of course, there's always going to be something that we're going to look up to them about. But
what do you mean they
really
taught us everything though? Like be more specific with that.
like everything that we know, like the way that we look at life, like
is that true, Zero?
Currency at money, like it's the biggest thing in the world.
Arturo, where are you from? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Kansas. I called before.
Okay, good shit. Okay, good shit. Oh, that's right. Okay, good to have you again, brother.
Like, are you mentioning that since we practice the European religion, European
Not
finance,
even beyond that, yeah, we even live in their calendar with their numbers and all this. So we're always going to look up to them.
Correct.
Because
I wouldn't agree.
They domesticated us. They taught us everything, even the language that we're using comes from them. And how you guys were talking about the tones, like, yes, we honestly, if our ancestors could hear us, they would probably look at us like dumbasses. Like, damn, these people sound retarded. Like, why do they even sound like that?
Well said, Arturo.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Hey, man, I agree with that. I agree with that 100% because language is a part of, like, who you are and what you are. But I believe also, too, though, I'm not sure I'm in full agreement that we look up to them or that I feel any. I think we're forced into a system because, like I said, when you look at that, when you look at the documentary of Standard Oil, you'll understand how much corporations had in investments in pharmaceuticals and the schooling from the early 30s and on. So it was Rockefeller, Carnegie, and I forgot another one. And they kind of they were developing a new industry called oil, and they had petroleum, and they had all these waste products. So they had to develop systems that were saying, "Oh, these things cure." Watch, this doctor is saying that this powder, whatever chemical it is, that's the byproduct of extracting oil. No, that's a pill. Right? A lot of people don't. If you look at that documentary, I can't remember all the examples off the top of my head, but it's called Standard Oil. It's a PBS documentary called Standard Oil. Once you watch that documentary, you'll understand. So I'm not in complete agreement that I look up to European culture because I was forced to learn it. I'm forced to learn their language. It never came with me with love, and this is the only tool that I know. I know español. Puedo hablar español también. I'm not limited to their intentions.
But that's theirs too, though.
Understood. But what they don't do is focus in on their body. They don't. What they don't do is understand the fasting systems of our ancestors, and it's not just fast whenever you want. It's fast at certain points of the year. When you get into that, then you're on time. You're way superior to any Gregorian calendar, any of that stuff. I know because I practice these things. I'm not just going, oh, wow, I read a book or I went to a workshop or a maestro told me. No, I sat there and fasted for 5 days myself every year for the past 8 years.
Right.
That puts me on time, like my ancestors did, right? They can't, no book, no calendar, none of that can defeat my physical action and me withholding physical food entering my body and entering a spiritual state that ties me with time.
Right. But you're doing it with the knowledge that you got from them. So you're not doing it exactly how we did it.
I did it.
You break your fast. I'm pretty sure that you break your fast with their food.
With fruit.
No, you said with their food.
With their fruit. Well, yeah, with their food, fruit, their food, whatever. It's something that they have presented to us. It wasn't something that was, I guarantee you, it's nothing that was here before 500 years ago. So
maybe, but I'm not trying to.
That you fast and all that, and I understand about the that you're looking more at the body and that they didn't. Yeah, of course they didn't, or else they would understand that when somebody has a darker complexion and the other person is lighter, there is a difference in this person. This person represents a certain specific place of the planet. That's why we can tell the difference between a Chinaman and an African man, right? I mean, if they stood right next to one another, I think a lot of us that are listening would be able to tell the difference. That means that there is a difference between them. They come from a certain specific part of the planet that's built for them, where they can live the longest. So
I personally believe that the Americas were always this way. Like African people were here in this land, Asian people were here in this land. Europeans were not the only ones to cross the ocean. Europeans were not the smartest.
Not the way, but I understand what you're saying too. But
because we got to remember, we're talking about Standard Oil. We're talking about institutions. We're talking about information. Any information that comes from a book in the 19th century or 20th century comes from that system. So there's a lot of lies, and that's why I'm saying that there have been Africans here, there were Asians here, there were Koreans here, there were different types of. They were just people. They were just people.
But there wasn't not at the level that they're here now. If there were very, very few, very, very few.
Oh, sure, I agree. I agree.
Hey, Arturo, I was going to throw in that. Check it out. So I'm from here on the west coast of California, and so where I live is the last place that the invasion took place. So what you have.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay, so okay, I'm the last place. The west coast, the last place they came, and so the whole Southwest was already occupied. Now, when this place, and so this is what I want to explain to you. Okay, so the beginning of the colonies, how many colonies did they have?
13.
I don't know, 13 or some shit like that. I don't remember.
Okay, so if you go to the capital today, do you know what the symbol looks like in the capital of the city?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's going to have 2 lines and 3 dots.
Okay.
So that's the math on the Aztec calendar.
Okay.
Do you understand that they're beginning? I know you didn't know, because I love you coming on, brother, because I forget that I've taught things and that there's other shows that you didn't see. You know, because for me, I was born with this in my house from when I was born.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
but there's still ain't no numbers on there.
I was showing you the numbers because when I went to Mexico in '96, they showed me all the math. So I teach Mayan math because I teach the math that our ancestors taught us, and that's the math that people use in the computers. It's a binary system. And so when you're saying that we're taking their information, it's actually different, because The word that they say for creator is ometeotl, and it's se omes. That's number 2. So if you think of God,
Mhm.
they call it Dios. Sounds a lot like dos, doesn't it?
Mhm.
So in
Yeah.
essence, my people came up with philosophies and math. They were proven.
I don't know about that. I don't
And that's
know
okay.
about
That's
that.
okay, Arturo.
I don't think we had a
That's okay,
measuring
Arturo.
system
It's all right.
like that.
So, but I'm showing you that
I
what I
think
had in my house and what we learned, because you just paused the question that we learned everything from them, and I understand that because
we did.
unlike Ruben, I went through the school system. I went, got a degree and like, for all intents and purposes, do what they tell us we got to do. But I went through that system and I didn't see my people doing anything worthy in that system. And so anytime I questioned it, they never had answers for me. And so I went through the system, have 2 degrees, but I don't think it's a superior system. I find it very inferior because they're using information that they don't know where it came from. And so when I learned Nahuatl, the original language, it began to unravel the things that I didn't understand. And once I began to understand them, I knew. And I mean, if you could, I would say there's this book. It's Day of Destiny. And Arturo, I'll tell you what. If you send me your address,
man,
I'll send you the book because I'd like you to open it up and to look at the science that our ancestors taught us. Because most of the books that you get like this aren't in English, but this was a guy that dedicated his life to translating in English. Because you have to understand, in English, you only look at it maybe 200 years on the continent, and so they say that we landed in
Yeah.
India. It's not India. Indios is what they call this, which literally means without God.
Yeah.
So we were the people. God came
Right.
here in 1492. So I always tell people that, you say, thank God. Well, cool. He got here in 1492. He got here just in time to fuck it all up.
I mean, I think he came here earlier
Yeah.
than that. I
But
think he
I'm
came
saying,
earlier
with
than
great respect, I like your questions because I forget that we've gone over those things. And again, too, I teach a class about math. It begins with the first number.
Yeah.
Se, ome, ye.
What
It's Nahuatl.
look up Terrence
Terrence McKenna?
who?
Terrence McKenna.
Are you asking for Terrence McKenna? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was saying, who you want me to look up? But I mean, I
he's
just
starting to break that whole number system down.
Right,
Like
but
that
the
is
thing is-
retarded, and that's why I say that we didn't use no numbers and we didn't use no measuring systems like that. And
But
the reason I say that is because when you
Here's
look
the
at Machu Picchu, the way their stones are set up, there's no angles, none of that. It's like it looks like stuff that you see in life, like patterns that you see in life, like just random looking patterns.
Okay, right. And
So
so their
I
calendar,
know
like
that there
ours,
wasn't no numbers there. There wasn't no numbers.
well,
They-
there
they
kind of
were-
has to be numbers because the nature, there's Fibonacci numbers they call it. So European claimed he had it, but it's a sequence that nature does. It's it's a spiral, and it's 1 + 2, 1 + 2. So it's 1, 3, 5, 7. If you feel like I grow cannabis, so I can see
Yeah.
the leaves are growing, because it follows a number sequence. That's a mathematical sequence that the Maya had recognized it, and so they counted it. And so when we talk about math, we're talking about 1, 4, 13, 8, 5. These are all numbers that have to do with the sky, the constellations, the moon. Their math is accordance to the universe. If you start doing 10, 20, 30, well, that's going to help you remember, but it's not going to connect you to time and space. My ancestors rooted a place in Oaxaca. There's a tree there. And from that tree, they started to count time. You could tell on the calendar because they tie a knot. Because if we're moving through the galaxy, somewhere you have to tie a knot if you're going to begin to count time. And so for us, we began to count time. And I have a calendar that shows our count started 5,626 years ago. And
I
so-
don't think we were counting though. I think we were just
Yeah,
keeping
dude.
track.
Hey,
So
all good, brother. But I'm
Maybe,
just telling you the
but
science that I
maybe.
know.
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
but let me get
I
back to what Ruben had said real quick because he brought this up about the oil days with the
Right,
Rockefeller
Scandal.
and all
Yeah,
those,
yeah, yeah.
those days.
Mm.
But remember, there's a documentary on this that they came up with the schooling, a whole new schooling system, and we are part of those children that they almost dumbed us down. So
Right.
we grow up just to be workers. So
Right.
remember that. So
Yeah.
whatever that we know now too is because of however they put it out the information.
yes,
So
that was our
That's something to
introduction.
think about too.
That was our introduction to whatever information or knowledge that we sunk in. But when we research or when we find tools that are that we're using the English language to point out these philosophical tools, right? That help us break this first attention, right? Because in the Toltec understanding, you have the life of the first attention, whether it's from European perspective or European knowledge, anything. The life of the first attention always has to be broken because someone is teaching you something, right? At one point, you're going to need to break the teachings and make those teachings your own. If not, you're just going to be following. So,
Right.
so with using that understanding and logic, I broke the life of the first attention, which is everything they taught me. There's a reason why I named myself Zero. Philosophically, spiritually, I had to let go of everything taught and had to rely.
You grew.
Absolutely. And so what I want to get to is the fact that, Sky, you think you could reach that Jamaica right there? So I want to point something out to you, brother, and hopefully you can watch it on YouTube. But see this cup right here? It's full of liquid, right? And let's pretend that liquid is information. In this cup, in this vessel, there's the first layer of this liquid. It separates the air and the liquid. That first layer is the information that we learn from the life of the first attention. But if we look at that cup, how deep is the layers? I'm talking about ancient blood. It had to be transferred through that ombligo that Daniel was talking about. That ombligo carries blood. That blood carries information. It carries emotion. It carries trauma. It carries information. Not when I say information, I'm not talking about words. I'm talking about experience.
A resonance that connects it to the land that it's walking on, to the land that it was given, or not given, but presented to, where you're supposed to now
to the being that it's
way
in,
of living.
Right? To the being that it's in. That blood is inside a being, and it carries information. And what I've come to learn is that when you fast and when your body is at optimal health, the memory is deeper. You went.
And I would recommend that to everyone listening too. Fast if you can. Fast at least maybe once a year. Start with that.
I would fast every 20 days. Healthy fast, you know.
Yeah, no, but you're right on target. You're right on target,
right
brother.
on, yeah.
Because this is what I'm talking about, is unlocking this ancestral memory. The bottom of the cup has so much information that you can tap into because it's you. It's you. Who else is going to be able to decode this information but you? This is what I've done. I didn't learn the Nemotemi from reading a book, brother. I learned the Nemotemi by going, I want to do the Nemotemi. And you know what it said? Fast for 5 days. That was my first Nemotemi. And then I said, I want to do the Nemotemi again. Okay. Fast for 5 days and then leave something.
Right. Hey, but can I add in too, when you're done with your fast, it'd be good to eat an aguacate, good to eat some chocolate, all the stuff that honestly, with all due respect, Arturo, did not exist in Europe. Tomatoes, strawberries, all the foods, all the things that exist on this continent. Think about it. There's no primates on this continent. There's monkeys, but there's no primates. They say that we were descended from monkeys. We were descended from the sun. And so that's how we're different. I don't have hair all over my body. Like, I'm not descended from a monkey. You know, and so there's people that they believe they're descended from monkeys, and that's okay for them. It's a different part of the world. In Anahuac, in the continent we live in, there was a lot of food here.
We're different.
For sure. And that's what I'm saying. That
other races too.
Yes,
from other races, and we have to respect that. We have to see that there's a very strong meaning to that. a thing that you gotta listen to. So if you're an African person, that means that you're supposed to be in Africa, and your life will be more at peace, and it will last longer. You will have a longer life. And same thing for the white man, and same thing for the Asian man. Those are just we got to look at us like cells, just like in the body, like how Ruben talked about cells. If you're familiar with cells, then you know that there are different cells throughout your body, and they're there for a reason. The cells on your knee are very different than the cells on your cheek. You don't want to get the cells from your knee transferred over to your cheek, because it will
Arturo, how long do they live? How long do those cells live that you're talking about, Arturo?
I don't know what do they say, like 20 days? I don't know, whatever the white man taught me.
Oh my God, you and the white man.
2
I'm
days.
tell you what, brother.
Yeah,
When you have
we
cancer,
go by-
how much time do they give you? They give you 6 months. Why do they give you 6 months?
when you have what?
When you have cancer, they give you 6 months. Why?
Well, it depends on what stage. If it's a stage
Right.
1, it's a lot longer than that.
They say
Stage
it's 6
4,
months. It's 6 months for your cells
it depends.
to work through, you know?
No, but every part of your body breaks
different.
down differently. Your skin breaks down the fastest, and your hair.
Right.
Because
And imagine if you
one
got
bond.
melanin. If you got melanin, because I'm 55, and luckily I still have hair, and I'm still brown, you know, and so I've got melanin, you know, and so I've done I don't fast like Ruben, but I do eat do the best to eat healthy, and I don't use much sugar anymore, you know, and so. But I do my best to eat.
You can.
Right, but I think that's the real one, brother. I think that's the one that took me out the hardest. And once I cut my sugar addiction, man, my life changed. You know, I felt younger, my blood flowed better.
You know that sugar is the biggest cash crop for Europe, for England.
I'll bet. I think for the world, Ruben. Fuck, we all love sugar.
It's the biggest
Okay,
cash
we're no wonder they're so rich, because we eat it.
Hey, but we don't know that, right? We didn't know. Like people don't go. You know, the reason why we don't use sugar at Malinali is because we're not giving a fucking dime to her. You know what I mean? That's why we don't fucking use sugar at Malinali. We use agave.
Right.
We use an ancestral sweetener. So as best as we can, as much information as we can. Look, I take the perspective like this, my brother, is that I feel like I'm an orphan, right? Like I was orphaned. Even though I had a mom and dad, and I knew my mom and dad, but they didn't know the traditions. They didn't know the math.
Yeah.
They didn't know those things. So then I left me in an orphan state. But that didn't mean that it was a negative space. It meant it was a challenge that the Creator gave me.
Right.
Can I live up to that challenge? Can I live up to that challenge?
Well, yeah.
Can I remember who I am with no help but myself, but the sun, the sunrise, the connection with myself and my body, the ability to have the will to fast and fast at certain points of the time, to put my energy into my community that I love, that I give my life for. I've been dedicating myself for this movement for 25 years, and I'll continue to do it. But I have to do it with discipline. I'm not going to just say this stuff because I know it. I have to live it. If I am not living it, then I'm not saying it. That's where I think we break colonial perspective at its highest level. And this is just my opinion.
This is an explosive.
I feel
Yo, this is an explosive episode. Man, shout out to the homie from Kansas, right?
Yeah,
No,
brother.
I know it's always gonna have one.
Man, you always, you got us to another level today,
No, but the
bro.
thing is, though, but he's got a good perspective. He's got his
well.
perspective. You know what I mean, and that's good. We respect all perspectives.
Absolutely.
You know, but I was gonna say too. You know what? And unlike Ruben, man, I had a mother that beat my ass when I was a little kid. Like I was guided. I was the baby, man. I was taking care of it. And I was gonna say, I would shout out to my dad yesterday. And I woke up and he says, "Hey, give me a hug." You know what today is? And I'm thinking
Happy
to myself,
birthday. Happy birthday to your dad.
it's your birthday. Yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
because every time when you're old, you got to go to the old folks home and they tell you, "What's your birthday?" And I remember 5/21/36. They always said. So it's just I give it up to my dad. You know, unlike
Shout out
Ruben,
to your
you know,
pops, man.
that my mom, my dad did a lot to make me what I am today. You know?
Absolutely.
And that's why I think that also too they broke colonial perspective. You know,
Yeah.
I think my mother wanted to be American so much, you know, and my dad fuck, he was Mexican. He couldn't help it. You know what I mean? So, but I just, I know that where I'm at and that I have a place to live. And like I share, I grew up in all Güeros, all white people. I was the only brown face, so I just have a different perspective, and people always, but again, Ruben, that's why I appreciate you and your family and like being around, just so much raza for me is just, it feels good,
Yeah. No.
And let me ask you, is Arturo, do you have a lot of raza there where you live?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I heard about
There's
that.
a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have these conversations with
There
the
is
homies
some
there?
racist parts though, like how you said earlier, you went through a part. Yeah, the little towns outside of the city, yeah, they get racist for sure.
But what's up with that? Why,
Yeah.
where's that come from? What's that about?
Man, similar to what you guys were talking about. They got a shitty life, so they take it out on
Right. Yeah,
whoever
that's
they
true.
can.
Yeah.
And they're more used to they're more used to taking it out on us. You know what I mean? So they don't feel as bad. If they see another white man come in, they'll be like, and they see a Mexican behind him, they're gonna take it out on the Mexican dude. But it's okay.
Thank you, Arturo, for
It's not okay, Arturo, but that's the way it is. But it's not okay.
thank you, Arturo.
Thank you,
I love
brother.
you,
We'll
man. I love
see.
you,
We'll
brother.
see you next week. Hopefully, man. Feel free to call in anytime, brother. You always stimulate
good to
the
hear you.
conversation, and I like the fact that you
appreciate it.
you're challenging what we're saying, but in the same sense, we are what we practice. You can know anything. You can watch a billion documentaries, read 100,000 books. If you don't practice anything, you learn from those things, then you just know things.
Hey, but you know what, too? Kansas is the northern part of Mexico. Old Mexico is the last
Interesting.
frontier.
Wow.
The northern part of Mexico. So, yeah, I didn't know that till I went out there. So,
Yeah. But, shout out to the brother, man. He always,
Yeah, good shit.
elevates the conversation and
moving
Man.
us halfway across the country.
The viewership is at an all-time high. The chat is obviously on fire. Appreciate everyone engaging. Yo, we have so many people watching. When you see that phone number, make sure you guys call in.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys come back next week.
Interact.
Engage. Feel free to call.
And then share.
We want to talk to everybody.
Yeah, share the podcast, man. We still haven't reached our $1,300, our $1,300.
Yeah, $300 giveaway.
I feel like I fucking need to pay.
Hey, I want to enter that one.
But, hey, tonight was a great episode, Zero. A lot of people were just tuned in, engaged. I guess they like the whole white person
That's funny.
topic. You know what I'm saying? Fuck.
Yeah. Well, we're not here to hate anyone. We're here to observe your patterns. And if your patterns are racist and harmful to our people, we're going to observe that. And we're going to take note and we're going to strategize and we're going to be creative. And you're not going to dominate us anymore.
Right. And I think
You're
that
not.
if anything
It's just-
gets too crazy, Sky will step in and just crush it.
Exactly.
This is what we're trying to do. We love Sky. I have to share this information with Sky, and Sky's gonna feel that in his corazón, and he's gonna share it with a younger individual than him, and then we're all gonna really understand that our tonal, our energy, our shukwat that comes from the sun has a purpose. It has information. It's light, and it feeds your soul. One can say that it's a part of it. We don't just do things to do things. We just Daniel just explained to you with the Tonal Mashio how much complexity is in it.
Right. Oh, he was saying it was my dad's birthday yesterday.
Oh, it was your dad's.
Yeah.
But I mean, any last words, Daniel, before
Hey,
we?
no, brother. It's good to be back, and it's just good to be in contact with our people, man, and just hearing us, just finding how you say some calmness in the chaos,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How about you, Sky? How you feeling?
Feeling good. It was good to see some of the viewers call in and get a different perspective. But yeah, I think definitely.
And we have some passionate callers, right? Zero, man, dude. I appreciate.
And they're all
all
challenging too. What about
appreciate
this?
everyone.
Hey, well,
You know
also
that-
too, Cali Roots is this weekend, guys, and so is anybody going to Cali Roots? I hope to see.
I'm gonna hit up one of my homies, man. I'm gonna try to get you in that on that guest list.
There it is.
Bro, if anybody's out there for Cali Roots, man, you gotta come. The lineup there is just off the hook.
Yeah.
Oh my
I wish I could
goodness.
go. But
So,
Thank you, Daniel, for being a part of
Yeah,
the
bro.
show.
Thanks for
Obviously,
Armando
Armando.
for putting everything
Shout out
on.
to Armando for producing the show. He always has the right comments at the right time, and he holds it down, man. I can't appreciate you more, brother.
He's a wizard back there.
I
The
really,
wizard pulling all the strings.
I really appreciate your effort and your time, my brother. I've never really got to say that online, and I want to say that,
Hey, man. Same here, brother.
Yeah, but
we've been doing this for years now, right, Zero?
Yeah,
Like
a
it seems
couple
like
years.
everyone's really
yeah.
tapped in.
And then shout out to the chat, man. Look at that. They still keep commenting. They still have things to say, and we really appreciate all the interaction that we get. And just know that the intention is not to judge. The intention is not to point out facts or hate people just because they have a certain skin color or a certain European descent or whatever.
Right.
We are all energy. We all feed off that serpent that comes from the sky, that star. There is no good and bad. There just is. And the minute we focus in on observing that, and the better we get at observing that, then we won't fall into these very destructive loops, right? We can't be manipulated with multimedia stuff and things of that nature. We'll rely on our internal information that comes from the sun, that connects with the earth to create our new reality. When we focus in on our individual path, we can change the world. Tlasokamatli, Ometeo, Tonantzin, Tonat.